Wow, thanks for joining me here, Gerry. Thank you so much for being on this podcast, and yeah, I'm excited to have you here, man.
I'm really excited to be here too. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, man. It is pretty funny how we met. I feel when I was doing a live stream on TikTok one time, and I think I accidentally invited you on, and
Well,
you just hopped on.
yeah, it was either I'm not sure if it was you accidentally invited me or I accidentally hit request to join. Yeah, because it might have been both at the same time or something.
Something like
Because
that.
yeah, and it was like from me watching to all of a sudden I could hear my voice, and I'm like,
Whoops. That's so funny. Well, obviously we're meant to have some good conversation, so here we are. All right, man. Well, I was taking a look at your TikTok earlier today, and you said something on the live stream. Is that what number account is that you have? Is that the first account that you have, or you've had to remake it?
um. So I've actually had a few accounts because I want to say like practicing because of what I
Okay.
learned in my journey of actually just understanding TikTok is they say you kind of have to get obsessed with it for to really
Mm,
understand how it works. And I didn't want to do it. I resisted for so long. I didn't have a TikTok for years. And then I was like, okay, I made this one and then it just didn't work. It was just dead. So I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me try something else. So I went off and tried a different niche, and I went off and tried a different niche. And so through doing those type of things, um, yeah, I got a few of them banned because I was trying to ride the wave of like motivation and masculinity. And anytime you put an
mm.
Andrew Tate clip up of anything, even if you just put the letter T and 8 in the name, it just like, yeah, seriously, just banned.
Wow,
Uh-huh.
that's
So,
crazy. I didn't know that. That's pretty. That's like a personal vendetta against him for sure. That's nuts.
yeah, but I decided, that's not the way to do it. And so after watching more TikTok creators who kind of talk about how to grow in the space, I decided, okay, well, I'll just go back and try to do my own videos and intermingle other related content as well. So like I'll make
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple of my own videos and then I'll also pull in other creators or other YouTube videos or other shorts that kind of relate, and that's been working so far, kind of.
That's awesome. Yeah. So your TikTok name is Exposing Truth, right?
Ye- Yeah, well, this one is exposing truth ministry, yeah, and it's
Right.
bigger than just the TikTok, but yeah, that's the channel.
So what you say it's bigger than just the TikTok you mentioned it's a ministry. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so it's actually it's very interesting. This story. So every all the equipment I'm actually using to you right now was actually donated to me.
Oh
Um
wow.
to support that. Yeah, so the laptop was like $2,000. My lighting and equipment and my cameras is about another $2,000. And so it was like because people um they they liked the fact that I was a young person and that I wanted to use my time to promote um a positive message. And so it's exposing the truth kind of like has this edgy sound to it because you know right now there's a lot of stuff that's being brought to light, a lot of stuff
Yeah.
being exposed, you know what I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
and a lot of truth is coming out. So and this is actually from 2021, I think. Yeah, 2021, I think in October is when we actually named it and made the website and stuff. um, but yeah, so that's kind of a little bit of an overview. I mean, I don't know how deep you want to get into it, but
No, we're here, man. We've got the time. We're going in. Because I know you've got some really interesting stuff that you've talked about on there. Like I was just watching a video on the one you posted recently about our magnetic fields and uh, and how essentially it's promoted during the lockdown. with the whole us being 6 feet apart thing, it also kept us out of each other's fields. So it
Mm-hmm.
takes away our ability to have compassion for each other because we're just not as interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 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 here for all that stuff. Like I totally hear you on that stuff, and it's all very interesting to me as well. So for
Yeah,
sure.
I I feel like there's been, if you look at the world that we live in, the way that we all perceive things now is so much different than it was even 100 years ago or 200 years ago, much less 1,000. And
Totally.
yeah, oh yeah, and it's, I feel like we have been, a lot of the history has been removed from us. One thing that I really like about your channel is you're bringing back like the old knowledge. There was a time when anyone was sick, they just knew how to go into the woods. Actually, I have this book. It's right here. It's called Back to Eden by Jethro Kloss. This book is written in like the 1800s or something like that. But this is the family expanded the edition and added more stuff in there. But it has a whole bunch of like herbs and remedies and different stuff from back in the 1800s
Nice.
that's compiled into one thing. Tells you how to use like tree bark, which different barks to like peel off the bark, and and so that type of knowledge used to be widespread. His parents
Yeah.
was the one that taught him how to do that, and
Yeah.
so it's like that's one of the reasons I appreciate your channel so much, is because you're
Thanks,
bringing
man.
back like actual good information, good knowledge that's practical and that's super affordable because you're literally in LA finding stuff
Yeah.
on the in the sidewalks. It
Yeah.
blows my mind. I seriously, I anyway, I really enjoy your stuff. Seriously.
No, thanks, man. Thanks. I remember one of the first things you were saying when you accidentally came on my live stream was how plant people are like hands down just some of the coolest people. Like you could kind of count on those people to just be really genuine and like have your back and be like, yeah, bro, I got you.
Yeah, we're just, it's like if you have the patience to watch plants grow, I think you deal with people a little better. Maybe that's what it is,
That's a really
because
good way of putting it.
even here, like I'm in Georgia right now, at my friend's farm. So I actually started another channel if you want to check this one out, because
Yeah.
I'm promoting it for him. Yeah, it's called Grateful Roots Gardens,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's the farm here, and I'm running his advertising and marketing. So I'm promoting him in the community. I'm doing all the graphic work, printing out flyers, and pretty much is using all my knowledge and helping him out as best I can. And I even made him a TikTok channel because I was like, hey, why not, man? Let's see what we can do.
Yeah, that's great.
And yeah, so it's been fun. But it's like that's what I love doing. It's like I love advertising, I love marketing, I love sales, and I love gardening. And so here I get to do both of those things. I get to help him out in the days, like in the mornings when I'm not busy on calls or stuff like that. I'm helping him like harvest crops, or we're planting tomatoes or planting different stuff, and so and I really appreciate it because I get to learn. Because my dream is
Yeah.
eventually to do it myself,
Yeah.
from my
Oh,
family.
that's great. That's oh yeah, I remember you talking about how you want to hop over to the Philippines, huh?
Yeah, well, hey, well, I could, oh man, yeah, I did say that to you. I guess that's public knowledge now. I
Hey,
mean,
there's
it's
so
funny
many
because
islands over there.
yeah,
Nobody
so
will
many
know where you
islands
are.
over there. Yeah, you're right. But I don't even know. I mean, that's if that works out, that would be the ideal thing.
Yeah.
Um, for me, actually, there's a couple friends of mine who are in this company called Remote Sales Manager, and they help businesses fill sales positions with remote employees.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, they actually are considering having me come and travel with them and help document their journey and do a bunch of video work and help promote their business.
Oh
And
wow.
so yeah, so I may be able to travel with them and do some pretty cool stuff overseas once my passport comes back. Um,
Yeah.
but so I'm up, like I'm a free spirit. I don't, I'm not locked down. Like I've been blessed enough to where I haven't been able to like be locked down by a 9 to 5 or a corporate job for quite a while, and
Yeah,
being used to that freedom. But now I realize, okay, I need to value my time more, get more skills, so that when I do work with people, I can have bring more value and get more money for it.
totally. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I feel like the currency of the future kind of is going to be that it's going to be skill. It's not just going to be, exchanging time for money. It's really going to be the value that you can provide for people to actually help them live their life.
Mm-hmm. For real. That Andy, one thing I really like about his business here is he wants to like install gardens on people's properties. And he's got tons of work already of pictures where he's installed greenhouses. He actually is trained how to install aquaponic systems, hydroponic systems. So
Wow.
yeah, so he's like the real deal. Yeah. So
That's sick.
yeah, so he can just come in, like, if you have a plan, you have the budget, set everything up, get everything working, and then hop out, and now you've got a self-sustaining system, so you can feed your family year after year, and all you need is a little maintenance.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's great.
that's his vision.
So aquaponics, that's better for people like live in the city, right? Who don't have a lot of land, or am I
Yeah,
totally off?
no, no, no. Both of them are aquaponics, hydroponics.
Yeah.
Even if you want to do it in pots, like there's still ways where you can do some really nice stuff in pots, with gutters. But to answer your question first, aquaponics is where you have like the plants are set in water, but there's fish as well in the system, and the fish eat food that and they poop, and the plants use the waste. So it's like
As
this system
nutrients.
where the plants kind of like give back to the fish and the fish give back to the plants, and so it's a self-sustaining system. And
Yeah.
people who like to eat fish will do that, so that way they can also have another food source on top of the food. They can also have fish to eat as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just another way of like using the same space you would for a hydroponic system, changing a little details, but being able to add another food source also.
That's amazing. Wow.
And you can do
So
it in a
what
pretty small space.
Yeah, that would be really helpful because I feel like that's one of the biggest things for so many people that's intimidating about growing your own food or herbs or any of that is space. I mean, like I live in a studio apartment with my partner. We don't have a lot of space to do that stuff. Luckily, we have a little bit of a garden outside, but so many people just live like stacked on top of each other that I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it can be really daunting to even try and look for ways to make that work?
Yeah. Well, one cool idea that I saw for strawberries especially, and I think for other type of plants it could work, but I know really worked well for strawberries. Rain gutters you see on the side of the house?
Yeah, yeah,
You can get rain gutters, and they're not terribly expensive, and you can set those up and just fill it up with good dirt, and then plant strawberries in it, and then you can have those running as long as you want and as stacked as many as you want, and the strawberries will just be pouring over the side. My friend was telling me about that. I was like, that's genius, a way to use space. So instead of
yeah,
having to like plant on the ground, you can plant on one, like, thin area of space, 2, 3 high, and get that one rack to hold however many strawberry plants you want to have. And they just keep growing year after year. Strawberries aren't
yeah.
something you need to do anything with. It's just you
Right.
plant it once, and then it just,
When it's their season, they're there.
yeah, and then it
Totally.
rains, and if you have it stacked good enough, you can even have like the water will pour down.
That's amazing. Yeah, dude, you're learning some really, really valuable stuff for sure. Like I can see you helping. I know for real. Like I can see you helping a lot of people set up their systems and learn all this stuff because it's super, super valuable stuff. I remember you telling me on the live stream something about what are those fancy indoor growers that they sell for like lettuce and microgreens that are tall. You were saying there's a version you can make out of PVC pipe?
Hmm. Well, I know that with like for indoor growing, the difficult challenge is lighting, and then
Right.
like airflow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I would say for indoor growing, if someone is a beginner, like the best thing to do is just buy a setup. You know, they have little nice you, you so for all those who are 420 friendly, you know what those indoor grow box setups looks like. I mean, they even used to make them like out of PC cases. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's essentially like a big tent with a reflective liner on the inside, and it has like a nice rack, and then I have a fan on the back. And what, with one of those, you can literally have pots on the ground and have racks in there. They make them in many different sizes, and you can have those in an apartment, and no one would even know, because that was how they were sold back in the days. You could grow,
Yeah.
anything you want inside, and no one's gonna know what you're growing. So it's essentially
Fair enough.
that same type of setup.
That's the way though, man. That's seriously the way. Like there is a way to do it. That's the whole point.
It's the value proposition.
Yeah.
It's about what is more valuable to you, paying the upfront cost to set the stuff up, and the seeds and the learning experience of time, right? But then you have a lifetime of knowledge,
Yeah.
or wait until you're in the emergency room because you have some sort of ailment or disease, that now you've lost all that time where you could have been building your health up. So now you have to catch up and then try to build and start and do something about it. So it's like
Yeah.
it's and it doesn't, I mean, no one has to start going spending $2,000-3,000 on some growing setups.
Right.
I love I love those TikToks where it's like you if you think your ladies are expensive, it's like don't let them find chickens and farming or something like that. And then it's a dude like showing his wife with a bunch of chickens running all over. It's like, you know, so it's hilarious, but
Uh,
it's true, but it doesn't
yeah.
start that way. No one starts that
Right.
way. I mean, I started with a shovel,
Yeah.
you know, and then you learn how to use a tractor.
Yeah. Start small. And
Mhm.
yeah, I think that is it's the intimidating thing, right? It's like people on the internet especially because people will show you like, here's my setup, here's all the things, and it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to go out and just make that happen right now? And it's like, no, this stuff takes time and you do it one step at a time. You're not gonna go from buying produce at the grocery store to next week growing all your produce. Like that's definitely not how it's gonna work. But it's
Nope.
like you said, if you have the patience to watch a plant grow, you have the patience to set all this stuff up one step at a time to make it work for yourself. And yes, same thing like you said with the value thing. You bring a man a fish, you feed him for a day, you teach him how to fish, feed him for his life. So
I'll say this too. One hack that I know every single farmer, gardener, agriculturist, whatever they want to call themselves, will agree with me on is this. If you really want to learn, volunteer. So here at our farm, we have a volunteer program where one lady, Barb, she comes every Monday and she helps us to harvest for the CSA. So she volunteers her time and helps us to pack the boxes, help us to do all that stuff, and then she gets free food. You
yeah,
volunteer at a farm, you're gonna get some food.
yeah,
So I'm like, how are people going hungry when you got farms all over this country? you know good good actual home farm grown food. And I mean,
yeah,
maybe not every farm is going to be organically grown, but if you volunteer you can still learn, spend time, grow a relationship, get that community
hmm,
aspect. And farms always have, some of them, I shouldn't say always, but some of them will have different events like fall events and strawberry events,
yeah,
depending on stuff like that. So if you just support local farmers and look at where, what are the local farms around you, and go
yeah,
visit them, they're not going to turn you away. They're not going to
yeah,
be like, get on
right,
out of here. You want to give me an hour of time? Of course.
yeah,
For
yeah.
just
Here's
some
a
food.
shovel.
Right. For sure. Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
cheat codes. It's
yeah,
like in college, you can't get that at college. You can't just go up to the professor and just like, I mean, maybe some of them are kind of cool like that, but
right.
this is way different.
No, totally. Totally. And like you said, that community aspect and building relationships is so important too, especially these days because we're not only so disconnected from our food, like you said, but we're so disconnected from each other. And I feel like that is the perfect environment to get everybody together and start relearning and reconnecting and really kind of stepping back into the power that we have. Because I was thinking about this yesterday. I was like, when the actual fuck did it become a luxury to grow your own food and not a luxury to buy it from somebody else? Like, that's the world that we live in today. It is the normal to have somebody else grow your food, and it's literally a luxury to be able to grow your own. What? That's crazy. Like, that's
I've
so
never thought
backwards,
about it before, but that is so true. And you're right. Wow. You
right?
know,
Like, that's backwards.
it is. What I like how when you said that about the community, us coming together, connecting with one another, and also connecting with the earth itself. You know, it's
Yeah,
like it's this beautiful system that just continually gives back to us as long as we take care of it. The sad part is like it seems like there's a movement to destroy it, and not even I'm not even talking. I don't want to go to like you know how do I put this? It just I don't want to go too deep in it, but we've on TikTok. Anyone on TikTok has seen the channels talking about these trail derailments and the stuff going on. Like you have to have your ears shut and your eyes closed to not think like what's happening with the poisoning of the water
right.
systems, you know,
Or our
and
air, or
or
our
the air.
food, or anything.
Yeah. So it's I think it's as you said, it may be a luxury. Maybe we need to start thinking more luxuriously.
Right. Well, that's how we got to where we are now, like we created all of these needs that are luxuries but have now become needs. Like it is a need to have a Tempur-Pedic bed for some people. And it's like, no, it's not, or
Yeah,
have a
right.
TV even. Like if you don't have a TV in your house, that's weird. That is like a necessity these days. But
Mm.
it's it's not. And so it's like, yeah, our view of luxury has totally shifted and what that means has totally shifted. But yeah, and I think too, touching back to what you were saying about the earth just being the beautiful system that, gives so much to it. It's like we're a part of that system. So we work with everything else. I remember reading a quote just talking about plants, like we need each other. Our exhale is their inhale and vice
Mhm.
versa. Even
Mhm.
just on as simple as a level as that. And I don't know when or how or who convinced us people that we are somehow above everything else. But also, it seems like there is an agenda to convince the people that we're the parasites and like we're the problem, which we have caused
Mhm.
many problems in this on this earth. But it's like it's based off of how we've been told to live.
Think about this. Think about this. The people convincing us that we're the that we're the problem. The people
Hmm.
convincing us that we're the problem are also the people who own all the corporations that are actually causing the problems.
Yeah.
So if it's strange though that the people that we're the problem, but we don't own
No.
any
Totally.
corporations that cause all the problems. So
Totally.
maybe they well, and let me leave it at that.
No, no, but you're so right. And it's like that's not to excuse our participation in it all, but it's like
Right?
we've been kind of bamboozled. Like we've been told that this is what we need, this is what we have to do, this to build up these corporations like you said, when they're not really taking a lot of other people into account. It's about corporate greed. It's about them growing as big as they can. A lot of people really don't a lot of those corporations don't really give a shit about helping people. And
No,
so it's like they
it's
don't.
about
Like
minimizing risks and cutting loss.
yeah, it's crazy. And so but then like you said, they'll turn around and point the finger on us. It's like, well, you have to stop using plastic straws. You have to stop doing this. You have to stop doing this. Meanwhile, you go into the grocery store and all of the food that you buy is wrapped in fucking plastic, but then they charge you 10 cents for a plastic bag. It doesn't make
Oh
any
man,
sense.
yeah. It's
So,
Yeah, and then I don't know if you've heard the whole this conspiracy theory. I don't know if you want to go deep down in it, but someone
go
told
for it.
me that apparently the Rockefellers knew that gas or petroleum oil is is a natural resource that is produced by the planet, and it is
Mhm.
not a limited resource. And they had to like do this whole propaganda thing to make the whole world believe it was a limited resource, and that's why they're able to charge as much for it now. For me,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I've heard it's crushed dinosaurs. I've I've yeah, or like just millions of years, and I don't know. I've heard all sorts of different stuff. For me, I don't need to bother my mind with all that stuff because
Yeah.
it's been here ever since I've been here. It's probably going to be here when I'm gone. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
No,
crazy what we
I
do.
hear you. It really is, and like same thing like you said. I get interested in trying to figure out the way that things are working, but it's so complex and so confusing, and there's so many things that I will never know, I will never see, I will never understand. But I've seen and heard enough to where anytime I hear something new, I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't put it past them. Like, I don't know, but I wouldn't doubt it. And that's why it's so I was having this conversation with one of my cousins because somebody had sent them some flat earth TikToks,
Hmm.
and they were like, "Do you believe the earth is flat?" And I was like, "You know what? I don't know. Like, I really don't fucking know. It maybe I'm not convinced that it is or it isn't, but what I do know is that these people could find some sort of incentive to lie to us about
Oh yeah.
whatever I'm
Well,
like."
the things that are frustrating to me about even with the flat Earth thing, because for me, it maybe it's culture, but for me, it's just easier for me to imagine the Earth as a sphere. It's
Of
easier for me
course.
to do it that way, and especially when I was in the Air Force for a while, and we learned
Oh
about I
yeah.
was avionics, so we learned about how airplanes work and like how they take into consideration the rotation of the Earth. This is what we were taught, so it's like
Yeah.
you know. It, so it's easier for me to imagine it as a sphere. But
Totally.
however, I am frustrated that our government did botch the footage of the stuff. Like if they would have just told the truth and said either a that the footage didn't work, the mission was successful, but we couldn't capture the footage, or b like we can't do it. One of those two. If they would have just been honest instead of making the footage, because even at this point, I used to think I thought they were successful and made the footage as after the fact because they the story was the whatever solar flares knocked out the cameras or whatever the cameras didn't work. But now I'm like, well, maybe they faked the whole thing because there's like underwater under well, it's so for me, I don't even really my mind. I don't have time. I have way
Yeah.
too many other things to be like worrying about to be preaching the flat earth gospel or the whatever, the round earth gospel. I,
Yeah.
it holds it every time I go outside, I walk and I don't like drift off. So as long as that keeps happening,
I'm good.
good.
No, for real. And that's the other thing too. Like, yeah, they give us so many things to think about, so many contradicting things to think about that just fuck our minds up and like make us focus
Yeah.
on all these things that don't really matter at the end of the day. Because and that's like I told my cousin, like, I don't know, I really don't know what the earth looks like. I haven't seen it myself from outer space or wherever you can get a grander view of this place. I have no idea, but I'm here. It feels flat when I'm walking on it, but also that makes sense. Like all their what they tell us makes sense, so I have no idea. I really don't know. But yeah, it's like it's fun to go down the rabbit hole sometimes and try
Yeah,
and see what
sometimes
other
for
people
sure.
think, because it's just fun to hear other people's ideas when you've heard so much of the same idea for
Hmm.
your life and be like, oh, maybe that could be it. But you never, who knows, man? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I per se and I don't want to say it's controversial or not controversial, but I ascribe with a more creationist view of things per
Hmm.
se, um, just because of, and again, I don't even want to blame culture on this. Out of all the evidence of stuff that I've seen and I've heard, it kind of just makes sense to me. But that's me and my own way of viewing things that make me feel
Yeah.
comfortable, because I know that there are other people who feel comfortable, uh, not or completely disagreeing with
Right.
that viewpoint at all. So, like, I think that, like you said, though, it's good to look at history and look at cultures and look at, like, the way that people come to conclusions, the way that civilizations have, like, even organized and have grown. And man, there's been some amazing civilizations through history that have done amazing things, and here we are in 2023, and we're struggling to, like, know what gender a person is, like, whether it's, like, appropriate for kids to make life changing decisions that,
Yeah.
you know at 18 years old. I remember when you could buy cigarettes at, like, 18.
Hmm.
You could Right now, I think you have to be 21 to buy cigarettes.
Hmm.
You have to be 21 to buy cigarettes.
Yeah.
But yet, we're it's so there's just certain things that it's like, um I love people. There's nothing that anyone can take from me anymore, because it's all been taken so bad. My life has been so, like, through the ringer. So it's just all I've left to do is love now.
Yeah.
you know, because, like, what else are you gonna do? Add more
Yeah.
pain?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I just think that there's this weird thing happening that I don't know if there's anyone to even, like, put a finger on it. Like, what's your thoughts?
No. I all I know is every single person I've talked to in my life and the general energy I get of the world around me is things are fucking weird. Things are not the way anybody is used to. Exactly like you said, there is something, it's not just one thing that anybody can put their finger on, but things are off. Things are dark, people are sad, people are struggling and desperate in so many different ways.
What do you see, though? Tell me what you see, because that's what I hear. But what do you see?
Right. So that's what I mean. It's like, I mean, I live in a city, so I see a lot of literally stressed out and distressed people. And then, of
Mm,
course, the numbers that they show us in terms of the economy being the way that they are, and prices are high, and people aren't. It's a lot of, I don't want to say imaginary because that kind of invalidates the feeling that everybody has, but
right.
almost imaginary. Like it's on a more, I can only describe it as being on a more energetic level than a physical level. That's the only way that I can understand it, really, is that
Mm,
everybody's just kind of like energetically in the shitter these days. And
yeah.
it's funny because it lines up with, I don't know if you follow astrology or psychic channelers or any of that stuff, but there's quite a few people in my life, including myself, that like to listen to that stuff every now and then. And there's quite a few astrologers that I follow that look at the trajectory of the planets and what that all means. And they say, oh, around the year of 2024, 2025, things are supposed to shift. Like we're in our version, the modern world, dark ages. And around that time is when things are supposed to shift. And it's the same thing in the crypto world too, because the whole, stocks and
Mm-hmm.
crypto market work in cycles. And right now we're in what's called a bear run where everything is low.
Mm-hmm.
And around 2025, everything's supposed to go high again. And then there was this other concept that my boss brought up to me. I can't remember the term. I think it was something in Hindu, but basically saying that we're going through the dark times right now, and same trajectory period, 2025 things are supposed to start to shift, and then there's another shift that's supposed to happen in 2030 when it's really obvious, and essentially the light is going to become more dominant again. So who knows? That's kind of the time that I'm like looking out for and hoping for, because like you said, I don't know what it is, man. Nobody can put their finger on it, but times are
Well,
weird. The world is
if
weird.
there's one organization that I know that would say, I don't want to say it. How do I say this correctly without being rude? So, do you
Just say
know?
it.
Right,
I
it's
know
the
you're not
internet.
trying to be rude.
Yeah, no, it's the internet. If you can't handle words, then you probably shouldn't be on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So the Catholic organization, they'll put out different encyclicals, which is like their direction or their like thoughts or their plans. And if you, I used to follow Pope Francis quite like I want to say quite religiously. It was bad. It was bad. I don't follow him anymore like that, but I really did follow him pretty bad. Because I just thought like there was if you know anything about finances, that organization is just really, really interesting. A very, very unique organization. And they've called out certain dates. And I think it's 2030 or either 2030 or 2031 that they were calling out for like ending world hunger and ending
Mm.
world poverty and all these different things like that. And then you also have the United Nations, who they also have different plans. Like I'm not sure if you've heard of. There's one called like Agenda 2021 or something like that, or
Yep.
Agenda, yeah.
Agenda
Which some of
21.
these things are like sustainable development and sustainable resources, which is this whole idea of reducing emissions, reducing those type of things, but also bringing more food. And that's kind of why we've had these trends of like vertical gardening, where they're growing food in vertical versus so like I believe that there is a desire to do good in the world,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but I wonder if at the desire for good, if there's an expense of freedom that we're giving up. It's like we if we had more freedom, we could do more good. But it's
Hmm.
like but they're like, no, we'll give you more good, but we'll take more of your freedom from you. So it's
Right.
that's kind of
It's
how
all
it
kind of like a guise, huh?
that's kind of I mean that's just how it's seeming, because
Yeah.
it's like I want to say they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth, but I I'm not that political of a person. I
Me
didn't
neither.
when Trump when Donald Trump was running, I was like, this is a joke. There's no way. The guy that's on TV that goes, you're fired? Like, no, him. And then it was Hillary, and I was like, oh my goodness. No! What is this? Who am I gonna I don't want either of them. And
Yeah.
so so that happened. And that was like I thought Obama's was rough, because I felt like everything he tried to do, he just got stuffed. Like, no, 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 no.
Mm.
And then Trump was just like a sitcom the whole time. And then this this one,
Is another version of a sitcom.
it's like season two. It's like
It's
season
really
two.
sad. Like my grandmother she's like, I feel bad for his wife. And I'm like, what? Why do you feel bad for his wife? Oh my god.
But it's
No,
just
it's a show.
but if you think about it, you know, since he's taken it, and I'm not trying to blame the one man, because it's
Right.
everything happened all at once, right?
Yeah.
But under his direction, all of us have lost money because our dollar is worth less. So anyone that had $1 million in the bank at the beginning of the presidency now has 700,000 in the bank, literally, or probably less. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and it's not going back up.
No, it's not. I honestly I don't know if it will. Like, not to be afraid, but I think there is kind of an obvious trend that the world is going digital. And
Right,
from what I've heard, the government is going to try and create their own coin and
right.
incentivize people to invest in that.
The
Which,
CBDC,
if you're
exactly.
listening, don't do it. It's a trap. But like, there's so
Yeah,
many other coins out there that they don't
please.
have control over. Like, that's the whole point of crypto and that stuff. So don't. Don't invest in the government. But no, but it is like it is a show, and it is very weird because if you look back not even that far, even just in my short lifetime of understanding the presidency and very little about the government, they lie. Everybody knows politicians lie. That's like a stereotype for a reason. And so it is like you said, it's they offer us this version of good and these solutions, but it comes at a cost of other things. And it benefits us also in these other ways that we're not really talking about because it doesn't matter to you, but it benefits us here. And so it's like, well, no, if we see your problem and like you said, we have our freedom instead, then we can come together and be pick and choose what they were talking about that might help and be like, but maybe do this also. Maybe, that's not
Mhm,
always the way to go. Because it has always been a give a little, take some more. Give a little, take some more. That's just
mhm.
kind of how the system seems to run. And if you look back in time, that's just kind of how it always has been. And also just the way that it's set up with a 4-year term, maybe 8 if you get revoted in, they can't get shit done. Like
Mm-mm.
you can't do anything in 4 years. You really can't. And
Not
then on top
not
of that,
not only have the party fighting everything you're trying to do.
yeah, exactly. And it's always going to be that way because, they think there's needs to be a balance and there's got to be enough Republicans and enough Democrats, which are also like, that's only 2 views. So
Yeah.
what the fuck? But it's so silly. This is like a total side note, but some of the hate comments I get on my videos, I've gotten both sides of like, oh, I bet you're a Republican. Oh, I bet you're a Democrat.
No
You're
way.
the definition of a crazy leftist. You're the definition of crazy right. And I was like, I don't vote. I don't tell anybody that. This is like the first time I've really said that out loud. But I was like, I actually don't believe in anything they're doing, so I don't vote.
Yeah.
And
I've
I'm
never
not
done it.
gonna, right? Like it's
I've
not worth
wanted
my
to.
time. Yeah.
I wanted to
I
vote
did
for
before I
Obama the
turned
first
18.
time. I wanted to
Yeah.
vote for Obama the first time, and then I wasn't allowed to because of work or something like that. I missed my chance. And then by Obama's second time, I was like, nope.
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
and then after that, wasn't it Trump after that? Yeah, it was Trump. So then it was just like,
Yeah.
nah. So
Yeah.
I lost my shot. I was gonna do Obama first time. I just turned like 18 or 19 or something like that. Missed the opportunity, and then a second time after
Yeah.
he was like he went from here to over there. I was like, dude, I've heard politicians lie, and okay, not hating on Obama. Obama's cool or whatever, but dude, I never saw one guy like
Flip
how do
flop
you
so hard.
just flip flop like what does moral backbones mean? But anyway, um
Yeah.
that's what I thought was a show, and so
Yeah.
I haven't done it, and I don't hate on anyone who doesn't. I mean,
Yeah.
if you listen to what Donald Trump was talking about, he should have been president based on the votes apparently, but he's not. So
Yeah.
what does it matter? Not that I care
Yeah.
if he was the president or not, because either way it would have been the same stupid show, I think.
Yeah. No, I agree.
you
I
know,
agree. They're a
except
front
maybe
man. They're a face.
we'd probably be in a war already. Maybe that's the difference.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I remember seeing this like interview back when Trump and Hillary were running, and somebody went to a Trump rally and asked this older woman, why don't you think Hillary should be president? She was like, I don't think a woman should be president because she's got too many hormones going on. You could start a war just like that. And he was like, well, hasn't every other war been started by a man? but but it is all just a weird show, and it's like they're just face for all of the moves
The
and
private
decisions that are
interests.
going on behind the scenes, that we don't get to be a part of. And sometimes I think about it and I'll sit and be like, wow, this is really weird reality where we literally have these screens everywhere that are basically just showing us our like dictator telling us what's going on in the world. Well, stuff that has nothing to do with what's on the screen is going on around us. It's like, what
Right.
the fuck?
It's
It's super
there's
weird.
a movie I think called Equilibrium with Christian Bale in it, and
Hmm.
it reminds me of that. Everyone's wearing gray. Everyone has to like take their emotion suppressing pills. No one's allowed to smile. Oh, dude, you should, if you ever get a chance,
That's
if you watch
trippy.
films, Equilibrium with Christian Bale.
Bill. I'll write it
Yeah,
down.
it's you could probably get it on YouTube for free, I'm sure, or Google it for free. I know that it's
That's
free.
so
It's
trippy.
old, it's out there, but it's the principle
Yeah.
that it's very interesting. And what's the thing that broke, so his let me not give it all away, but essentially, like, he he stopped taking the emotion suppressing pills,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
started feeling again. And like
Mm.
that was the thing, is they wanted to like the government was purposely numbing everybody, saying that this,
Right.
because there was no wars, there was no crime, there was no poverty, everyone was, everyone was progressing, right? But
Everyone's
of
complacent.
course, yeah, of course, but the chancellor and all those people lived up there, and all the
Yeah.
people were down there, but there was peace and
Yeah.
safety, no crime, except for outside of the walls was like a dead zone, because the people
Yeah.
who would escape, that's where they were, and then they would, anyway. Let me not give the whole
Yeah.
thing away.
No, that's crazy though. Do you think you can see a sort of parallel with that in our world today with the way that technology is kind of pushed, like with Meta and just the way that we function with our phones now?
Oh, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
because it's you create, like, I, looking at mine here, you create a system where it's like, uh you need it for almost everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
of course, we need to communicate with each other. That's important to be able to, in cases of emergencies or in cases of whatever. And so, but yet now we can communicate with each other, but we can also find each other, and we can also find locations, and then we can also record pictures and videos of the locations. Then we can share those with each other. So it's like it's this tool that just becomes an extension of what you would love to be able to do, like with your friends. If your friends aren't there, it's like, oh, I can bring my friends with me, even though it's not. So even though it's not real, what happens though is we get comfortable not bringing our friends. Where in the past we'd want to, hey, let's all get together and go and do this thing. Now it's like, hey, watch my live stream while I'm doing this thing.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know, um,
Totally. Yeah, it is like a backwards, like the purpose of it was connection, but it's created so much disconnection.
it can, it
Yeah.
can. And I think there's a movement of people who are trying to like uh purposely limit the interactions they do on the phone, so that they keep as much human interaction with each other as possible. Like,
Yeah.
I prefer calling over texting all the time, and I actually have gotten into a little bit of the voice messaging, because it's like the in between of a text and a call, right?
Right.
I think that
Totally.
that was a I think we can thank Nokia for that. You remember with the yeah, because you used to be able to
Okay.
send yeah, back in the, maybe you're probably in like grade school back in those days. Yeah,
Probably.
I'm not that old, but I'm old enough to remember. Oh no, maybe was that Alltel? I just remember it was what all contractors used to have, that phone where they'd just be like and like send a voice message, and then you'd hear the other guy's phone like beep. They thought it was the coolest thing.
Probably was. I bet it was. Damn.
Back on flip phones. But hey, yeah. So I actually have another meeting with my mentor from my boot camp. I'm in a
Oh,
careerist
nice.
boot camp. Yeah, and there it's a seriously awesome program. They helped me to understand, because sales is kind of my background, but
Yeah.
I took a really long break, so I wanted to get back into it and get put into a nice job. And so it's not the cheapest program in the world, but it's worth every single dollar. And
Good.
so I'm going to be meeting with him. He's going to help go over some stuff, and then I'm actually pretty much done. All I have to do is record one demo, send in the demo, and then I'm pretty much done. And then I get to use the software that like helps me to send out like tons of applications at the same time. It's pretty powerful.
Sweet.
But
That's awesome.
yeah, so, but I got a
Good.
few more minutes, so we can wrap up.
Yeah, for
Any final
sure.
thoughts, or like, what's your how do you calm it down or take it down to the close?
No, I always kind of just flow. I feel like it, it kind of finds its way there. So, but that was some good takes, man. Thank you for all your views. Like, for real, that it's so good to just have conversations like this where you can be open and share how you feel um without worrying about the other person attacking you, because there's no need for that. And like you said, your life has been so crazy and you through the ringer, and even without that, just the way that the world is today, like what else is there to do besides love? That's it. So no, for real, like I'm on that page with you. So thank you for everything that you shared today, man.
Hey, no problem, not a problem. And if you really think about it, it takes more energy to be angry at someone than it really does to just forgive them, you know?
Totally.
Because if you just forgive them, it's just like, right, it's done. But if you stay
Yeah.
angry, that could go on for days, that could go on for weeks,
Yeah.
for years for some people. And
Yeah.
so it's like there's just simple things in life that will help people to not get wrinkles, and smiling
Yeah.
is one of them, and being happy, you
Yeah.
know. So
For real. Wise words, Gerry. Thank you so much, man. This is actually a great place to close it out.
all
Beautiful.
right,
Thank you so much for
well,
being here, man. I appreciate it.
till next time.
Till next time, for sure.